Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another video. I am Grestar, and this is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and this is another speedrun. Specifically, this is under the New Game Plus category. Normally, I've been running New Game, this is New Game Plus. And the biggest difference is, with New Game Plus, you are allowed to use, like, an old save file. You just have to make a new custom character. So your character starts off level 1, but you're allowed to equip any items or skills or equipment that you have from previous runs, any, casual playthroughs or anything like that. So we're still having to start the game, fresh and go until the final hit on the final boss. But again, any equipment that you've purchased before, that you've earned before from any parallel quests or anything like that is fair game. So you're going to see right at the beginning of this run that I do equip things that I normally would not equip in a New Game run, and that's fair. The only thing that you can't do in New Game Plus, I say only, but I guess some of it is you kind of just have to, what makes sense. Like, you can't play with other people, like that kind of thing, that's an unspoken rule. But you cannot use Tosok to purchase levels up, which I do, a lot in the New Game run. And you have to use the custom character that you make for the run, like your level 1 custom character, in every aspect. So you have to play as them in like the parallel quests and the 2 expert missions that you have to do. One thing you've probably noticed is that currently there is no audio aside from my voice. I say currently, that's how this video is going to be. I don't know why. I played with audio, but for some reason my recording didn't capture anything. It didn't capture my microphone, it didn't capture the game audio, so I do sincerely apologize for that, but there's nothing I can do. The run's already over, so I can't change anything, and here we are. I will say that I intend to improve this run, and so hopefully I'll work out whatever kinks there were by then, and we'll actually get another run with some game audio. So if you want to click away, if you have not already, I totally understand. It's going to be just me talking for the remainder of this video, this like 94-minute video or so. So I get it. But yeah, just wanted to let you know right off the bat. So you saw that I equipped mostly Future Trunks clothes and then like Pan's gloves. I think Pan's gloves gave me a bit of a stamina boost, and then Future Trunks, I mostly picked them because they boosted I believe my basic attack and my ki. Like, not my ki blast, but like the actual ki bars that I have, the number of them. And then I equipped the Majin specific transformation and the Super Soul 40-ton weights. The Super Soul, it doubles the score that you get at the end of each fight. And the score is equivalent in this game to your experience. And so since you can't purchase levels from Tosok in the New Game Plus category, I figured that I really wanted to do something else in order to level up more quickly, so I will be using the Super Soul almost for the entirety of the run. But in some fights, you'll see that I still use the typical Majin female strategy, using the infinite combo, which is mostly heavy attacks, and then that ki blast, and then dashing down and just continuing the cycle. But for most of this run, I actually end up using the Majin transformation, Purification, which is basically your character turns into Kid Buu. If you've watched any of my previous videos on other world records, whether, both of them were New Game, but one was the world record for the PC and one was for the PS4, or the consoles in particular, because right now consoles are all lumped together. You'll probably know that I was not a huge fan of the Majin transformation. I'm still not a fan of it in terms of aesthetics, but I have become more comfortable with using it just in terms of fighting. I basically just spam heavy combos, and then I occasionally use, I believe it's called Pearl Flash. It's just the skill that's automatically set to like the heavy attack button, whatever that is. It's Y for me because I use an Xbox One controller. But you'll be seeing that for most of this run. So I've already explained, the biggest difference between New Game and New Game Plus is that the New Game Plus run, you can have it on an old save file, but you still have to just create a new character and run through the game as that character. Whereas, New Game as a category, the character that you play as has to be the first character to ever have existed on that save file. So you can't use any pre-existing like Zenny or items or anything like that. This one is totally fair game. Then I would say there are 2 other main differences. Some minor differences aside from these, but these are the 2 main differences. While there is still like a 15 TP medal requirement in order to progress at some point in the story to the next story mission. Since we're on a pre-existing save file, we already have more than 15 TP medals. So when that requirement comes up, we don't have to worry about it. And so if you were familiar with my new game runs, you might have noticed that I didn't fight Yamcha at all. Because the two main reasons that I fought Yamcha, first, every time you fight like an instructor battle or do a parallel quest or whatever for the first time, and you win, you get a TP medal. And you know, you need 15 TP medals at one point in the run in order to progress. With Yamcha in particular, you need to do at least one training thing with him in order to unlock the possibility of his special class being unlocked. His special class is the Turtle Stone Hunt, where he throws a turtle stone and you collect it and bring it back to him, and the faster you do it, the more TP medals he gives you. The best you can do is get 10 TP medals from him, and then I think it's 6, 3, and 1. I'm not entirely sure. I know 6 is after 10, but then it's hazy after that, because I don't go that slow. But usually in a new game run, you would end up doing the parallel quest, which is required, and that gives you 1 TP medal, and then I do 2 Yamcha, and then I do 2 Raditz for a total of 5, and then the Turtle Stone Hunt for a total of 15. But in New Game Plus, since you already have enough TP medals, you can just ignore that requirement. It's the same thing with the transformation requirement. In a new game category, in a new game run, near the very end of the game, Elder Kai does not let you do like the battle against Toa until you have unlocked your race-specific transformation. So each race, there are 5 races in this game, Earthling, Saiyan, Majin, Namekian, and the Frieza race. And they each have their own race-specific transformation. You can see here, you know, this is Purification, the Kid Buu-looking one. That's the Majin-specific transformation. Namekian has their giant form. Earthling has, like, Kintoun, the Cloud, and Yoibo, the Power Pole. Saiyan obviously has Super Saiyan. And Frieza has Golden form. I think I named all 5 of them. So, along with them being different transformations, each transformation has unique requirements depending on the race. And so, in the new game category, or in a new game run, I believe that the Majin transformation is the fastest, and so I believe that they're the fastest race to play as. In New Game Plus, however, you should already have the transformation unlocked for whatever race you're going to play as, and so you can just ignore that transformation split entirely. What that means is that I believe it's more on the table as far as, like, what race you should play as if you're hoping to get the most competitive times in the run. I still did play as Majin because, 1, I'm most familiar with them, and 2, I had this idea to try Purification finally. But if you were curious and you were not comfortable with Majin, you might want to try out a New Game Plus run over a New Game run, just so you weren't taking that disadvantage of not doing the fastest transformation. In case anyone's curious, I believe the fastest transformation is Majin, the second is Saiyan, the third is Earthling, and then Namekian and Frieza. The Frieza transformation, it just takes so long to do from what I've seen. I've never played as a Frieza race myself, but from what I've seen, it's really complicated. There are just a lot of fights that go into it, and then you have to rely on Frieza summoning you to his spaceship to fight him extra times, and there's just a ton that goes on. And the Namekian one is similar, just not the individual fights, but summons leading up to it. The Earthling one, there are missions that you have to do with the Great Saiyaman. And then to unlock Super Saiyan, you do 2 fights with Vegeta, and then you talk to Bulma and Trunks, and like little Trunks, and in Capsule Corporation. And then you fight Vegeta and Goku together. Whereas for the Majin one, it's you feed Majin Buu a certain amount of food, and then you fight him and 3 small Majin Buu. So it's just fewer fights, basically, is what it ends up boiling down to. But you can see here, there's nothing different about this parallel quest, and there's really not going to be anything different about any of the story missions that we do either. The biggest changes are just, we're not going to be doing any of the extra missions, so we don't have to do any instructors, not Yamcha, not Raditz, no one. We don't have to do any special classes like Yamcha's or Krillin's, like the milk delivery. It's just, as soon as we can, we're going to move from story mission to story mission. And you're going to see along the way, I do prime or I do trigger cutscenes earlier. To explain that a little bit, there are cutscenes at various points in the run that would normally like pull you out of the time nest so you watch a little thing. One of them I'm doing right now is talking to the stylist. If you don't talk to him now, he'll give you that dialogue at a later point. And then this is another thing I discovered recently. If you talk to the TP Metal shop and then you talk again and back out, Bulma will suddenly appear and start talking to you. So that's cool, because if you did not trigger this now, she would pull you out of the time nest, which is where you pick your missions. She would pull you out of that later on. So getting her out of the way now, I think, is quite useful. And then lastly, while we're here, we want to talk to multiplayer modes man, because same thing, we just want to get his dialogue out of the way while we're already down here in this area, just to make the most use of our time, so we don't have to go back and forth, like up and down these stairs and into the time nest over and over again. As I said, one of the rules for this run, for New Game Plus, is you cannot use Tosok to level up, and so you'll see that I didn't talk to the female NPC by Piccolo out there. Normally she gives, I mean, she would in this case too, but she would give you a Senzu Essence capsule, which I would normally sell and then use that money to purchase levels. After this first split, we get to go to the miniature time rifts, and after that, usually I would talk to an NPC, he would give me clothes, I would sell those clothes for a total of 80,000 Zeni, which is quite a bit, and then I would use all of that money to purchase levels, but I'm not going to be doing that. And if you watched my previous runs for the new game category, you might notice too that I went first to the Namekian history rather than the Saiyan history. Now, the reason for that is because we didn't use Tosok to level up, because we can't. I am at a lower level right now than I normally would be at this point in the game, where I get to pick whether I do Saiyan history or Namekian history first. It seemed to me that doing Namekian history first would be better overall, because in Saiyan history... Well, I'll start with this. First... the Zarbon fight, there's a period where he's invincible until a certain amount of time passes, and that's a running theme in this game. There are a lot of fights where the enemy is invincible while you are not, and you just have to wait for enough dialogue to pass for them to be vulnerable again, or for the scene to transition, or something of that sort. So there was that Zarbon one, then there's this Lord Slug one. It's the same thing. You do need to get him down to where he's basically dead. Like, his health reaches, I think, the G in, Lord Slug. But there's a lot of dialogue that passes, and so we have some time to get him down, so we're, quote-unquote, allowed to be weaker for this fight, And then after this, we have one more fight. It's against Dodoria, and you just have to, you kill him as quickly as you can, and then you mark the split on the clear. And so there are 3 fights. One of them involves partial invulnerability. I mean, it's full invulnerability, but for a relatively short period of time. And then there's this one where you do have to get him down to a certain point of health. And I did dilly-dally a little bit trying to get grapples and key blasts to get more experience, to increase my score so that I'll, be more likely to level up. And unfortunately, he got that combo off at just the perfect time to just make me waste more time, because he was almost finished. But when you look at the Saiyan history split, first there are more battles, but also they are more dependent on how quickly you beat them. You start with a Nappa battle, and there's a certain point of dialogue where you want to bring Nappa down to about half health before that dialogue finishes. I believe the dialogue line is Yamcha talking about, who cares who it is, referring to me, the patroller. And then if you don't get it in time, you'll have Gohan saying look at those eyes, they're bright red or something. He's scared, If you do get it in time, it jumps to a different point in the dialogue about that presence so strong but familiar or something like that. And if you get that skip, it saves about 20 seconds of dialogue. After that, there's the Turles Fight, which is the same kind of thing. Elder Kai has a line, in fact, he looks just like Goku. If you get the skip, it'll jump straight to Goku saying, this guy looks just like me for some reason. And if you don't get the skip, Turles will begin his monologue with, my name is Turles. That skip saves you about 30 seconds. So between the Nappa and Turles fights, you have the possibility of saving, 50 seconds thereabouts. But the issue is, like, you don't have a lot of time to get each of those, you know, Nappa and Turles down to about half health. Like, it's harder than it seems. And so I did the Namekian history split first in order to get myself to a higher level so that I had a, you know, a better chance of beating those two fast enough. Now, I know that I gave that whole explanation quite a bit before we actually reached either of those fights, but I just wanted to get that out of the way, and I'll kind of point it out as we get there again. I'll say too, this is where I made a mistake. I accidentally went right back into the Frieza spaceship rift after I had left it. I may have cursed while I was running this, but, you know, whatever, we just go back to Kanzan City as quickly as possible. This time we actually go to the transfer shop clerk, which we're supposed to do, and then continue on to the other rifts. Now, the significance of these rifts, they each have their own little, not like mini games, but more like little side missions, you know? And the rifts are important because they're for each, you know, race-specific transformation. So, you know, first we went to Frieza's spaceship, and then we went to Majin Buu's house, and now we're going to go to Guru's house, then Capsule Corporation, then Hercule's house. So we have for the Frieza transformation, the Majin transformation, the Namekian transformation right here, the Saiyan transformation, and then the Earthling transformation. So, you know, depending on which race you're playing, you're going to be spending more time in one of these rifts than, you know, the others. And so for this run, actually for this run, because it's New Game Plus, I never visit any of these ever again. If this were a New Game run, I would only be visiting Majin Buu's house in the future so that I could get the transformation. But as you've seen, I already have it, so we essentially have already done that split, and that saves us honestly like 6 minutes. So it's fairly significant in terms of differences between New Game and New Game Plus times. Normally, too, as we leave this place, we would then jump in our vehicle and go off the front right side, so we land in front of the NPC, do Anguish because he hates bitter people, get the clothes from him to go sell. But because we can't level with Slug, I'm just going to use it to teleport to the Recreation Plaza, vehicle up here to talk to Supreme Kai of Time, because you need to do that in order to move on. And then you go in the vehicle, head all the way back up into the Time Nest, and we continue on with the next split. So yes, my splits for this run are misnamed because, you know, Saiyan history currently has the -157, and now it looks like I'm going into Namek history, but, you know, we did Namekian history the other way around. We did it first. But you know what? Like, what really matters is the beginning time and the end time, and as long as I do it consistently, like if I consistently do the Namekian history first, all I'll do is I'll go into my live split and I'll just change the names. So, not a huge deal in the end, but just something to point out. But yes, this is the fight with Nappa. So I quickly use one of the power capsules that I had equipped at the beginning of the run, which you see fills up my ki, and then I could switch to, or activate Purification to basically become Kid Buu. See, Yamcha says, who cares who it is? And we had Nappa down low enough, so that presence is so strong yet familiar. So that means that we got this skip, and we saved about 20 seconds. I switched back to my normal Majin form so that I could start beating up on Nappa in order to use Ki Blasts, and then I'm going to try to start grappling him. If you get, I think it's 20 Ki Blasts, maybe it might be 25 or something like that, and then, well, if you get that, you get Ki Blaster. At the end, when it calculates your score, you can see it on the right-hand side. And if you get 3 grabs, you get Grappler. Both of them give you just points. And again, the score is equivalent to your experience in this game. And so, you know, the more you get, the more likely you are to level. All's well that ends well kind of thing. Now for the Turles fight, unfortunately, things did not go my way. So again, I use that power capsule, I use Purification, but unfortunately, he got hardcore into a combo on Goku, and then I got knocked really far back, and so I wasn't even really that close. Like, okay, I say that if I had gotten one more combo off on him, I would have gotten the skip, but unfortunately, I missed it, so that means that I was essentially thrown 30 seconds back. So I know for a fact, like, if I were to have the exact same run that I, you know, recorded here, except I beat Turles, you know, like 1 cycle faster. I got 1 more combo off on him before Elder Kai finished his line. My time in the end would be 30 seconds faster, about. So just one of those things. And 2, if I hadn't accidentally gone back into the Frieza spaceship rift, like obviously that would have improved my time as well. So those are the two main things that I just know for a fact that I could improve on, just because they were silly little mistakes, things that didn't have to happen and just did. But yeah, at this point, we're just waiting for him to finish. I'm so used to getting the skip because in the new game category, with the way that I level up, it's much easier to do. And so I'm not used to waiting those extra 30 seconds. It just feels like this fight drags on so much longer, and because it does. But yeah, I'm just not familiar with it. So, another reason why it's more important, in my opinion, to have a higher level for this saga, like the Saiyan history split, than for the Namekian history split, is because now you have to kill Nappa and Vegeta here, and it doesn't matter like what point in the dialogue it is, it's just a matter of how quickly can you beat them. So here, you know, the higher level you are, the more damage you're dealing, the more likely you're going to kill them more quickly. So I'd rather be at a higher level here. Whereas in the Namekian history one, it matters much more just like you're locked into it because of the dialogue. So one more hit on Vegeta. If I can land one more hit. There we go. And now we get to fight Nappa and Vegeta again, but this time in their grade 8 forms. And once again, it doesn't matter the point of dialogue, it just matters how quickly you beat both of them. And so, if you've seen my new game runs, you're familiar with the strategy for this fight. It's just using your bomb ki blast, which each race starts with their own different kind of like charged ki blast. Majins inherently have this bomb ki. And so like charged ki, it's just the normal key button for me is B, because again, Xbox One controller. If you hold it down, you're charging it, and that's what's unique to different races. Bomb Ki Blast just seem to work really well against these Great Apes. Otherwise, Great Apes can be just kind of complicated and a pain to fight. But you can see here, it's pretty simple. I don't do it perfectly, like I got hit there. But we first have to get down like their purple energy bar kind of thing. And then we can go in, and while they're finally vulnerable, we just hope to one-cycle them, you know, get enough key bombs that they die. And so that was the end of it. Once we hit clear, or see clear, we can mark our split and move on from Namek history into the Ginyu Force split. So we did end up on the split gaining 2.7 seconds, but again, we know that we missed 30 seconds, like we lost 30 seconds because we didn't beat Turles fast enough, and we went back into the Frieza spaceship. And so I think that I should be basically, you know, between like 40 and 45 seconds faster than what we currently did. I don't know how long it took me, you know, to have to go like back into the Frieza spaceship and then back out again just unnecessarily. I don't know how long those teleportation things take. It's probably just like 5 to 10 seconds, really. Anyway, you're pulled out of the time nest so that Supreme Kai of Time can talk to you and tell you like, oh, we sold 10 million copies of this game. Here are some glasses. They don't do anything. They're just accessories just to commemorate, you know, them selling a lot of copies. But what I do is I jump in my vehicle. I go over to like the offline battles area. I talk to them. I go into a lobby. I immediately back out, and it triggers this Hero Coliseum cutscene. Normally, this cutscene would automatically trigger after you beat the Ginyu Force Saga, or Ginyu Force split. So basically, I just went a little bit out of my way to trigger it early, so I didn't have to go a little bit further out of my way. I think just one more early cutscene trigger in this run, and frankly, I think that the cutscene triggers, like these early triggers that we do, in general, at least with the Hero Coliseum and with the Fu one, I think they're more beneficial in a new game run than a new game plus run. But I did them all in this run anyway, in part just to try to better cement it into my mind. So I took some time there, boosted my attributes. Now we're going into the next fights. Or next set of fights, I suppose. But yes, why I believe the early cutscene triggers are more beneficial in the New Game runs rather than New Game Plus runs is because how we currently, or how I at least currently do New Game runs, there are a couple points in the run where I do want to go into that, the recreation plaza, that kind of main hub area, in order to like buy a few items. And while I'm out there, I want to make the most of my time, so I'm not going out there for like just one thing at a time. And so like I'll go down there, I'll get my item, or I'll fight Raditz for the sake of TP medals or something like that, and then I'll trigger a cutscene on top of it. Because I was already out there, let's save a little bit of time so that we don't have to be teleported out here for this cutscene later on when we're actually comfortable and wanting to be in the time nest. But in this run, New Game Plus run, since I already started with all of the items I could possibly want, I mean, aside from the ones that I haven't yet unlocked, just period, in my on my save file. There's nothing that I'm really needing out in the Recreation Plaza. So it's not as beneficial, I don't believe, to trigger the cutscenes early, but I still think that it probably is beneficial, just not to the same degree. So as you saw with that fight, there wasn't anything special about it. It was just beat the two, Raikou and Guldo, as quickly as you could. In this fight, we're only going to be able to get them down maybe like, what, a fourth of their health, a third of it? And then they're going to be invincible, and that's true for both Jace and Birder. And at that point, we just have to wait for a certain amount of dialogue to pass. Elder Kai will be like, oh, that Goku, always swooping in. And then after that, these guys will be vulnerable again. At that point, we actually only have to beat one of them down to like a sliver of health, and then dialogue will automatically begin. I believe Supreme Kai of Time starts talking, and it just, once that dialogue ends, then it'll transition to the next part. But that's just the way that this game tends to work. It's either... I mean, not it's either. It's basically just so much of this is tied down by dialogue that you have to wait for. Whether, a character is invincible until a certain amount of dialogue has passed, and then you need to kill them as quickly as possible, or just once you get an enemy down to a certain point, then a certain dialogue is triggered, and then at the end of that, you move on. So, similar, I guess they are different. Kind of interesting how it works. In general, I wish that you didn't have... Yeah, see, Supreme Kai of Time starts talking. Wait a minute, someone's approaching you. I wish that we could find a way to skip the dialogue. Or at least just, like, once you reach the health threshold that you needed, you could just... That was it. It would move on. But no. In this one, it's much the same, except there's no dialogue you have to wait for. You just have to quickly kill either Birder or Jace. As soon as you KO one of them, Goku will start talking. And then it's just a matter of time for the scene to transition. So I almost get Birder. I figured I'd commit and just try to finish him off because he was so weak. Jace, though, his ultimate, he got it off on me. And so that took more time than it should have. But I think I was able to salvage it relatively quickly. I think, honestly, one of my biggest complaints of the Purification form is that I don't like its evasive. Its evasive is Angry Shout, and it doesn't cancel out ultimates, nor does it move you at all. You just shout. And so, like, while you're shouting, I think you are invincible, but it's not like you shout for a long time. Like, ultimates you'll still be being hurt by them, by the time you're done shouting. And so I just don't think it's nearly as good as, I'd rather have any of the evasives that you start with. Whether that's like the forward somersault or the back, I forget what their names are. It's like basically forward somersault, backward somersault, or instant rise. Like, I'd much rather any of those than have Angry Shout. But, maybe you guys aren't familiar. The Purification form, the one that makes you look like Majin, or like Kid Buu. It's the Majin specific transformation. It changes not only your basic attack combos, but it also has a set, like, skill pool. You can't change it. So you just have to work with what you have. Anyway, at this point, you can see both Jace and Ginyu. I believe I worked them both down to about that point of health. They're invincible. Jace now that the scene has transitioned, is vulnerable once again. Ginyu is still going to be invincible for quite a little bit. We need Trunks in Captain Ginyu's body to be like, well, this is awkward, and then we can start fighting Ginyu. So I'm going to do the same thing where I leave Purification form to return to my normal Majin form. And I'm getting my grappling in now, just to try to get some more score at the end of it. And I might go for... No, I go straight for that. Okay, I didn't remember if I went for more like Ki Blast. And frankly, I was talking. I didn't pay attention to see if I did it earlier. But yeah, I figured I'd try. I'd use an ultimate to finish him off. So I tried to time it with the dialogue, and it worked out because you have to let him finish the how can this be anyway before it'll move on. So you really just want to finish off Ginyu sometime within that bit of dialogue. Now here, we're fighting Captain Ginyu in Goku's body, and then Turles. You just have to beat both of them, just knock both of them out. And then we're done with this split. I'll take this moment of silence to apologize for the silence once again. It's super awkward for me as well. Normally, this is not the kind of video that I would post. But, you know, I'd just be like, well, I guess I wasted 90 minutes because there's no audio captured, right? But it's the world record currently for this category, and so I feel like I have to submit it. I'm still of the belief, because I mentioned this in one of my new game world record videos for this game. I think that if possible, world record videos should be public so that they can be, you know, more easily accessible. Like, obviously, even if they weren't public, you would still be able to access them through speedrun.com, but, you know, you wouldn't be able to search for them and find them on YouTube, and I just think you should be able to. But anyway. Now we're going into the Frieza Saga split. And so normally, again, after the Ginyu Force, you would be met with the Hero Coliseum cutscene, basically. But we triggered it early, and so we got to just be already right in front of Elder Kai and move right on into this. With this first Frieza fight, all you need to do is get Frieza's health down to, like, about the first parenthesis, right before, you know, first form. And then he'll say, this will be your final warning. See, right there, this will be your final warning. Once that dialogue happens, like once it begins, it's just a matter of time until you can move on to the next scene. So you can see here, I switched back to normal Majin, doing the same thing. Ki Blast in order to get the Ki Blaster little thing at the end for an extra score. And now I'm going to be going around and trying to grapple him for the same thing. I do this a lot, and I've started to do it, like I had already started to do it in my new game runs, but I think it's more important in New Game Plus, just because you're not purchasing levels from Tosok, so like every level that you can get is an advantage, because normally like I would be going into the Frieza Saga split at level 39 and then hopefully reaching 40 like after this fight. But here, we are not at level 40 or even 39, you know? It helps too, like currently we're using a Super Soul, which again doubles our score, or essentially doubles our experience for each fight. And so I figure the more things that I can contribute to the score, you know, obviously the higher that double is going to be, like the more worthwhile that Super Soul will be. So there he goes. Nail's not feeling so good, so we're going to give him a break. We're going to move on. Okay, yeah, we just reached level 20 with that fight. So normally, again, I go into that fight level 39. This time I went into that fight level 18. So you can see there's a little bit of a difference, and leveling up does more for your stats from what I've been able to tell. I was about to say from my opinion, but from what I've been able to tell, leveling up does more for your stats overall than putting in attribute points. Just when I've compared, like, a level 40 character with no attributes, you know, to a level 40 character with attributes, like obviously putting in attribute points does help your stats. But like it's not nearly as significant a growth, even from like, you know, when you look at a stat with 100 attribute points put into it, it's not as significant a growth as just, you know, going from level 1 to level 40. It's obviously not the best way to like measure it, but yeah. I also figured with this fight, since it's just, there is so much dialogue that you have to pass. So like, I just got Turles down to being invincible too. And Slug was already there. Like I went for him first, you know. That I didn't need the extra power that the Purification form, you know, allows. So instead, I went with what I'm more comfortable with at this point in time, and that's regular Majin's infinite combo. Which, if you're not familiar, yeah, female Majin has an infinite combo, which I kind of described a little bit before, but it's, you just do heavy attacks until you kick them, you spike them down, you know, toward the ground. You tap B to send out a single thing of ki. You do like a boost step forward, and then you connect with another Y combo. I don't know what Turles was doing there, but you can see him gradually using up his stamina. Okay, well, not right now, but if you look in the top right corner now, you can see his stamina bar gradually going down. I didn't even pay attention to that at first. I stopped focusing on him, and then he suddenly popped out of the water, and I was like, oh, hey. But yeah. So the Majin infinite combo, the reason it's infinite is the only way to get out of it, unless the person executing it, you know, messes up, is you need to have 2 blocks of stamina to either vanish out of the person's combo or to use an evasive skill. I mean, so either way, 2 blocks of stamina are required. To my knowledge, there's not an evasive that takes fewer than 2 blocks, but I haven't done like a ton of research into that, so I can't say for sure. But yes. So Lord Slug is now saying, I feel a surge of pure dark energy. As soon as he's done with that line, both of them are vulnerable again. So I start fighting once more. I'm just going to immediately try to charge in. And, you know, I missed once. That's okay. They're both dead. We get to fight them basically 2 more times now, but these are going to be much faster. So this was one of those cases where they were both at full health after the scene transitioned, but you were still just as weak as however they left you. And so this is one of the scariest fights. In my opinion, this is the first scary fight. I'll say that. As long as you know what to do against the Great Apes, I think this is the first scary fight. Frieza Saga in particular can be really brutal, especially to new players. You know, whether you're speedrunning the game or just playing casually. It could just be unfair. But then Trunks joins you, and then it's just a matter of beat Turles and Slug both as quickly as you can. So after I got Turles down to where he was invulnerable in that last phase, I started beating on Slug as much as I could before the scene transitioned. And then it's a matter of finishing Turles off, and then finishing Lord Slug off. So I just need to get one more combo off on him. That'll be good. So there he goes. So that's the last that you see of Turles or Slug in the New Game Plus category. And in the New Game category, currently, you could technically, I mean, like, if you're playing this casually, of course, you can go and have them as your instructors, and I'm sure that there are parallel quests that involve them, but they have no more point in the story. So now, within the Frieza Saga split, we actually get to return to Frieza, and this is arguably the most unique fight in the entire run, because you can't kill Frieza yourself. If you were to look at the objective, like the what's it called? I'm thinking like the win objective, but you know what you need to do in order to win. It says decrease Frieza to a certain amount of health, which I guess is technically true. But like, you see where his health is right now in the top right corner? It barely goes any lower than that. The real way to skip it, or to skip it faster, is to have Vegeta die. And so at the very, very beginning of that fight, he was using an ultimate on me, so I broke his stamina, but then I just left him alone. And thankfully, he fought Vegeta, you know, fairly quickly. Now we need to get Frieza down to about, again, the first parenthesis, I believe. And then Goku will start asking if Frieza would do him a favor. So I'm just trying to do like one more hit on him, basically. There we go, see? And now we just need to wait. Something that's nice about Purification that you saw me try there, at least, you see me do it now. I have a skill called Quick Sleep, which I could just hold down and it will heal me. So if I ever get a moment where it's like, you know, I might as well, like, I don't have anything better to do, I could do that. Now this part, since we really only had to get down that little bit of health, I believe I should have just stayed normal Majin and tried to capture Frieza really quickly in a meteor crash or something, instead of switching to, purified form and fighting him there. But I didn't. It was something that I immediately reflected upon, but, obviously there's nothing you can do at that point. So here I use another power capsule so I can, have enough ki to transform. You need 3 bars of ki to transform into, the purification form. And then we just need to get Frieza basically all the way down, I think to about the M or the second parenthesis. Once that happens, we're moving on to what's basically the final fight of the split. It technically, kind of has 2 phases, but the first phase is really short. Okay, so actually a little higher. You don't have to get his health down quite as far as I was initially thinking. Spam through this. We're now at level 25. And this, I think, is one of the scariest and hardest fights in the entire run. Even in my new game runs where I'm over leveled, I'm level 40 or 41 or something at this point, I still find it very frightening. And I've died here before, I figured I would start this one off since you only have to get them down a little bit, into their second bar of health. I would just start with that ultimate. And here you might have seen me just pressing Y. I forgot that I wasn't transformed anymore because when the scene transitions, it just automatically puts you back into your normal form. So I was Majin or Kid Buu, the purified form's Y is that charge that you see right there. It's like the Sonic spin dash kind of thing. If they're far enough away, he'll do that. Otherwise, he does the normal stretchy arms kind of attack. And so when you see me, the main combo I do with purified form is just heavy attack over and over again, including the times where I dash and, connect and then just begin the combo. Okay, so Cooler is down, targeting Frieza now. And this fight's just going to be rinse and repeat. I'm trying to keep him away from Goku because Goku can be a pain. Any AI that you're on a team with can be a big pain when you're trying to fight someone. They'll use a skill on them that just, Kamehameha, that basically means you can't do anything while they're caught in the blast and you just have to wait for it to be over. Or they'll just charge in and knock them out of your combo. It can be really frustrating. But here we go. He's dead. So as soon as we see the clear, we can mark the split for the Frieza Saga. And so normally this is the point in the run I would go down to the Recreation Plaza to the skill shop and I would purchase Super Ki Explosion and Giant Storm. I've been experimenting more with Super Ki Explosion and I rather like it. But I already have them and I already have them equipped. And then from there, after purchasing those 2 ultimate skills, I would then go and talk to Fu here for the crystal raids to get that out of the way. Here, I just summoned my vehicle and I rode all the way down and started talking to him. Frankly, this is the one I'm most questionable about in the New Game Plus run. I don't know if it's as worthwhile, because, that meant I had to get in my vehicle and travel all the way down and then fly back up, whereas if I let it pull me out of the Cell Saga split naturally, I would just appear here talking to him and then have to fly up. So in my mind, it would skip the step of me getting in my vehicle and riding down. So honestly, that might have taken more time than it saved. I can't tell you for sure. I haven't tested it one way or the other. But it was just something that was on my mind. Again, in part, it was just so I don't forget between, runs that because I want to start implementing that more in new game runs. But I haven't done it enough yet that it's muscle memory kind of thing. So yeah, we put in more attribute points just to make us stronger, just to make these fights go a little bit faster. And now we dive right in. Now there was something else that I wanted to do but forgot to do, but thankfully it doesn't matter. I'll have one more opportunity, and so you'll see. But basically, after I finish off this first Cell bit, before I get to the Cell Junior fights, I just want to equip a different item. So we need Cell to get down to a certain amount of health, and then the scene will transition. And then from here, we need to get him down to basically dead. He needs to basically die. This is the first run that I've actually done. Okay, it's the first timed run that I've done using the purified form. I did like casually go through it as purified form to get more familiar with the moveset and see if it seemed at all viable. And then this is the first time that I actually timed it. So I'm still not entirely like familiar with how much damage purified form will do at like what point in the run. And so I'm not as sure like when I need to do another full combo or when I can end in the Pearl Flash kind of thing. But yeah. So this is the point. It brings me back out, and it was good because I forgot to change my Super Soul. I want to change it from 40-ton weights to I hope you're reborn as someone better, or as someone good this time. And what that Super Soul does is every time you deal the finishing blow on an enemy, and it doesn't matter if it's a basic attack or a super or an ultimate or like a little ki blast or something, it will automatically fully refill your ki bar. And with this split, the Cell Saga split, and this part of it in particular, there are just a lot of enemies that you have to kill. Like right now, we're just fighting Mira, and that's fine. It's just beat him down to a certain amount of health, like pretty low, as quickly as possible. And then dialogue will start. Goku will start saying, like, he gives up. You know, it's up to Gohan, that kind of thing. Do I do it right after here? Yeah, I give up. Yep. And then we just need to wait for this dialogue to pass. And so after this fight, we have 3 Cell Juniors, and then we have 3 Cell Juniors. And those ones aren't... I mean, you can't use the ultimate attacks to as great effect. I think I try, and it just doesn't really work out for me. But then after that, you have 8 metal coolers, and then 10 metal coolers, and then 12 metal coolers. The 8 metal cooler fight is not as good to use the ultimates on either, because it's a much bigger battlefield, and so they're more likely to be separated, in part just due to like having further spawn points than in the 10 metal cooler and the 12 metal cooler fights. But also there are like other enemies they could fight, or specifically there's Gohan that they could fight, and so you're not the only target, and so they're less likely to crowd around you. But here I try to use Giant Storm. It doesn't even kill the one Cell Junior I had targeted, so I run up to him, I attack him. It didn't finish him off though, and I didn't realize that, so it didn't give me my full ki. You might have seen I was trying to use another ultimate attack there. Here, though, we have to wait for Android 16 to finish a stupid long, like, dialogue with Gohan and Hercule anyway, so it doesn't terribly matter. As far as I'm aware, this fight, like, you don't skip dialogue if you beat it quickly enough. I think you just always have to wait for Android 16 to do all this talking, and I hate it. You beat the 3 Cell Juniors. This 4th Cell Junior spawns. You actually cannot kill him, so, I can use it to get my Ki Blaster, or to get Grappler, or, however I want to do it. If I just want to mess around. Or if I just want to go and sit off to the side and let Yamcha and Tien keep fighting them, that's totally fine. One thing that I found amusing, I just found this recently. So if you use your Scouter, you can see the levels of people. I don't think I do it here. But you can see the levels of people. Yamcha and Tien right now, according to the game, are level 15. So again, like, just to go into the Frieza saga, it recommended that you be at least level 20. And, you start, like, the first fight of the Frieza saga split is Frieza and Nail. Nail is level 15, according to the Scouter. So yeah, I just found the level comparisons kind of amusing. But anyway, with Cell talking right there, we're finally done. We get to move on to the next bit. This one, kill the 3 Cell Juniors as quickly as possible, and then it ends. I start with Super Ki Explosion. Once, when I was playing on the Switch of all things, I actually killed all 3 of them with Super Ki Explosion, and it was super cool. It was in a new game run, which is technically... I haven't uploaded it yet. I really should. I just forgot. It's technically the fastest Switch run, even though it went really poorly. But yeah, in that run, I happened to kill all 3 Cell Juniors with Super Ki Explosion, and it was really cool. But here... Okay, not here, because this is the 8 metal cooler fight. After this, though, you'll get to see how Super Ki Explosion, like, really shines. Because I think it went really well. But here first, I kill one of them, and so I get full ki. I use Super Ki Explosion, hoping to get 2 of them. I only got 1. And then the others, you can see how it's just like a much wider map. I got 1 with Giant Storm, so at the very least, like, it did refill my ki all the way. I tried to use Super Ki Explosion, got no one. So its effectiveness definitely varies, like between Giant Storm and Super Ki Explosion. If people are guarding, it does like nothing. And then too, they have a good chance, especially with Giant Storm, to just get out of the way. And here, it was so mean. I had just 1 metal cooler left, and Cell started bullying me because Gohan occupied himself with the metal coolers instead. And like, I'm trying so hard to connect, but Cell just won't let me do it. And like, just please, 1 more. Okay, but Gohan finally finished him off. And so we finally get to move in to the 10 metal cooler fight. And just watch how much more quickly this goes by. I think it's so cool. So immediately starting with that, we kill 3 of them. I move a little closer. I do another. We just killed another 3. You know, and waiting for more to like spawn in. We got 1 at least. Even though we only got 1, it's still fully, you know, refilled our ki. There's 3 more. We're already moving on from the 10 metal coolers. And now we have to fight 12 of them. This time, Trunks is on the map, and so the metal cooler's attention is going to be a little more split. But still, we got 3 of them right there. And that 4th one, or Trunks got, or maybe he got a 5th, or did we get 4? I don't know, either way. I didn't finish one off since I last used an ultimate, so I only have 2 bars of ki here. And I don't think I realized it. I think I was still trying to use one, and then they bullied me a little bit. But look, oh no, we didn't quite get a kill. We were so close to getting a kill, but we ran out of ki a little too early. Like, we only had 3 bars instead of, you know, more. Either way, though, 8 left. Couple right here, so I came in. I got 1 of them. 2 left right here. And there they go. It was so clean. And so, you cannot do that in the new game run, because the Super Soul that I was using, the, like, I hope you're reborn as someone good this time, that only becomes available in the store after you beat Kid Buu. And you know, that's a later split. So as much as I would love to be able to use that in new game runs, it's just not accessible at that point in time. But I love that strategy for those 2 fights in particular, the 10 metal cooler and the 12 metal cooler. With this part, it's just a matter of beat Cell at full power as quickly as you can. You can't fully knock him out, but you get him down to a sliver and, you know, then it calls it. So I'm just trying to continue to combo him as much as I can. Sometimes Gohan will knock him away, and that really sucks. Other times, like, you don't quite reach Cell before he recovers, or he'll, you know, vanish or use an evasive or something like that. It was actually quite nice that he started using an ultimate, because I was able to break his stamina and get some good combos off right there. But yeah, he's quite weak at this point. This is where you just really want him to cooperate. So I was hoping that skill would do more, and I'm just trying to hit him desperately, and there we go. We finally got that hit off on him. And so looking at the splits, you can see, like, you know, with the Namek history and the Ginyu Force, we were at like plus 2.7 and plus 18. Part of that, though, I believe, is because we were triggering the cutscenes early, which means that, you know, we took more time in those splits. And then, too, of course, I accidentally went into the Frieza spaceship, you know, an extra time and had to back out. And then I missed, you know, the Turles dialogue skip. So all in all, this has been a very positive run so far. And obviously, since this is the current world record, as of May 16th, when I am recording this post-commentary... Oh, I actually did the run this morning as well. That's right. I did it like the first thing when I woke up, because I'd been thinking about it last night. So obviously, it's going to be pretty good. But this is one of those runs where I think it could be beaten fairly easily if, like, the same strategies are employed. Because it's not like I'm masterful in my fighting, like in my execution. I'm not terrible, like, I'm far from the worst player. But there are way better than me, so... So by the way, in case anyone is interested in running this game for yourself, whether New Game or New Game Plus or one of the more miscellaneous categories, I would encourage you to do so. It's a very small community right now, and so, you know, if you're committed, you could probably get a pretty good time. I'd be happy to help out how I could. If you're interested, check the description. I have a link to the leaderboards, and you know, you could just see what you might be interested in. But yeah, see, there's Angry Shout, and see how I'm still fully caught in the ultimate. I'm not a fan of it. If I had any of the evasives I mentioned earlier, like Instant Rise, I would have been able to get out of the ultimate, and then potentially get around him to actually, like, cancel the ultimate and break his stamina, which would have been a lot better in the long run for beating him. Of course, though, at this point, he's actually invincible until dialogue passes. Trunks has to be an idiot and come in and try to save his mentor. I'm not a fan of Trunks. But yeah, now we can actually finish him off. I mean, obviously we need to, like, get his health down. You know, a little easier said than done, but we're not waiting for dialogue or anything at this point. It's just, however quickly you can do it, you do it. And thankfully, that one didn't take long. It was pretty nice. We still have one more fight, though, before we actually mark this split. I wish we could mark it there. And very often, I'm tempted to. Yeah, more just because, like, it feels like that's a solid ending to, like, a fight sequence. But we still have Android 16 and Cell in, like, the deserty area. So we back in. We get to fight more people. So first it's just Android 16 on his own. Kill him as quickly as possible. Cell will only show up afterward. But you can see, like, I'm doing a surprising amount of damage because I think that, frankly, Android 16, or like the split's name is A16AM, which is Android 16 and Mira. But if the name is too long, Live Split will just, like, you know, truncate it somehow. I feel like this one is technically easier than the whole Cell Saga split. I don't know why it's, like, listed second as an option. I also frankly don't know why you're given the option as far as which one you want to do first. Because for the most part, this game is very linear as far as just, like, here's the show. But, you know, obviously there are, like, discrepancies as far as, like, what happened in particular parts. And that's the whole point of the game, is you're going around and fixing all these discrepancies. But, like, why does it let me do Namekian history before Saiyan history? Or why would it let me do this before the other one? I mean, this one seems the most, like, fanfiction-y. Like, it's not really a part of the canon story. It's just like, oh no, it's evil powered-up Android 16 teaming up with Cell against, you know, the Patroller, a fake character, and Trunks, so... But another weird thing about it is these are the only two times where you get to choose which one you do first. You know, every other mission, it's just, would you like to do another mission? And you either say yes or no. So I don't know, one of those things that confuses me. But yep, now we get to go into the expert missions. Well, first we get to, like, skip through some more cutscenes like this. But then Supreme Kai of Time will be like, yo, how's your work going? Can you help me for a minute? And you get to do the 2 expert mission tutorials that basically teach you a little bit of how to fight, like, the Great Ape expert missions and the, I think, Supervillain expert missions. I think that's what I don't know. And just a little bit of how, like, to break someone out of being brainwashed, or what to do when you're, like, sent off to another dimension so you could get back to, like, fighting the actual boss, that kind of thing. Something that I didn't realize until I was doing this run is that or I guess doing, like, my practice untimed run, you know, before, to see if, again, like, this would be viable at all. You apparently can't use transformation skills in this expert mission tutorial. Like, all of my other skills remain the same, but Purification is no longer accessible to me. So if you're wondering why I'm going to be playing as normal patroller this whole time, like, that's why. Which, you know, is fine. It threw me off at first just because I didn't expect it. And I assume it's you can't use any transformation. Because I don't know why they, you know, only wouldn't allow Purification. But I don't know. I guess actually thinking about it more, maybe it is only some transformations. Because I think, like, Purification and Giant Form Namekian, they can't go through portals, like, to other locations within parallel quests and things like that. But I think other transformations can, and maybe that's the distinction. I don't know. But we beat up our ally who'd been brainwashed. I'm already charging a Ki Blast. As soon as I see a target on that giant Ki Blast, I let go of it, so it's already being, like, flung, basically. And then there it is. So there's the first expert mission tutorial down. They're not long and they're not difficult, you just have to do them. No way around it. No way around it that we have found yet. I should clarify by saying that. Because, you know, like 4 months ago, I believe it was 4 months ago, the record, you know, world record for new game was 2 hours 21 minutes. And now it's 1:45:45. And so you never know what kinds of things you're going to find in order to speed the game up. And currently, or before this video, the world record was held by Hat Lord at, I believe, 1:36:06. And he had held the world record for 3 years. So that's part of the reason I think that it's going to be taken really rather quickly. I think that he is going to see that, like, someone usurped his role after 3 years, and then he's just going to walk in and, like, first try me. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't put it past the guy. He's good at what he does. So with this bit, at the level we're at, you can just use one consecutive energy blast and it works out just fine. And then you just need to go and destroy these dark crystals. Sometimes Turles is annoying and actually, like, attacks you like that, and it halts your progress a little bit, just because, you know, obviously you have to, like, flinch away. So you want to hope that he'll be distracted by other people, but it doesn't always work out that easily. From here, though, we just want to kill him, so connect as soon as possible, do attacks. That wasn't the fastest he's gone down, but it worked. And I like to drop down at the end, because you get to see him splatter in the background behind you. And I find it amusing. But that's the end of the expert mission tutorials. We never have to do another expert mission in this entire run, thank goodness. And actually, at this point, I don't believe there's anything extra. I think at this point in the New Game Plus runs, we're just doing story missions. In a new game run, we would still have potentially the Turtle Stone hunt to look forward to in order to get the TP medals, because we need them immediately after the Boo Saga split, which is right now in a new game run. Aside from that, though, we would still have the transformation to get. But hey, New Game Plus, we already have the transformation, so that's not even a priority. It's not even on our mind in this run. Another thing that I want to give the Purification form credit for is when you reach the Kid Buu battle, I at least think it's amusing, because you're, like, he's fighting himself, except I'm better. So I like it. And you know what? I'll admit, this has made me curious, like, doing this run mostly as, you know, the purified form. It's made me curious about trying a new game run basically as this form as much as possible. Because normally in a new game run, you know, I mean, I don't do that. You know, I'm playing, like, strictly as normal female Majin. And even when I get Purification, I never use it because at the time I didn't like it. You might say I hated it. But now that I figured out at least one way that I can utilize it, one good combo, it seemed a lot better to me. And the transformation itself, I think it gives a 15% damage bonus just overall. And so, like, it's not like that's a ton necessarily, but that's significant enough, right? I would think so. Like, if you have that on top of the attribute points that you put into it. So it's something that I might experiment with in new game runs for a little bit. I haven't yet, but it's something that's on my mind. So thankfully, this part isn't too long typically. We'll have to get Majin Buu down just a little bit more until he starts talking, says like, time to go. Yeah, time for you to go home. Bye-bye. And at this point, you're just waiting for dialogue to pass. Vegeta will send you on your way, basically. I'm getting in my Ki Blaster. I'm getting in my Grappler. Just little things for some extra experience. Using Quick Sleep to heal. Not that it really matters, but because I can. I just kind of enjoy the fact like that I have that capability in this form. It is really bizarre to me though. Just so in a new game run, we would reach level 40 like again, the first fight of the Frieza saga typically. As you might have just seen, after that fight against Majin Buu, I just hit level 35. And I should point out again, I'm using a Super Soul that doubles my experience, and I've only switched it off for half of one split, So, using Tosok really does a lot for you in the new game run. Again, he's not allowed in New Game Plus. But getting you to a higher level so early on really helps you, like, blaze through a lot of those fights. So here we get a fight against Super Buu. And then we'll get to fight against Super Buu again. Well, more like... No, that's right. Super Buu here, and then Super Buu, and then Broly, and then Super Buu. And then Janemba. And then that'll be the end of the Buu Saga split. But still quite a bit to go at this point. Sometimes it's really hard just to land a hit, or as soon as you do, you get something like that evasive that just knocks you away and it's really obnoxious. Or you'll get someone like Piccolo or Gotenks that come in and just ruin whatever you have going on. But finally we were able to get him down. And thank goodness for that. So now we have this Gohan. He's really tall now. We use a powers capsule again just to get Ki so we can transform. And then we're just immediately, putting the hurt down on him. We don't want him to feel good. Right there, scene's going to transition. And now we get to fight Broly again. So this is something that I haven't yet figured out. Sometimes when I transform, you get the... not cutscene, but like a little animation of Kid Buu like almost panting a little and then lifting his head, and then it zooms out and you can start fighting. And other times it just lets me start fighting right away. I don't know what causes the difference. I really wish obviously that I could skip the animation because, not that it takes a long time, but when it keeps happening, obviously that adds up. And I don't know how that one didn't hit. But either way, at this point, we're really just waiting for dialogue anyway. This fight is already over, like we just need the dialogue to pass, and then the scene will transition and we'll have to fight Janemba. First we fight him on our own, and then we fight him alongside Vegeta. And because of how fast the fight can be, and with the strategies that I've relied on in the past, I believe I stuck to normal Majin female rather than trying to switch to purified form. At least for the first bit. I don't remember for sure, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, it looks like for the first bit, I'm just sticking to the usual form, using the infinite combo, using some Meteor Crash, because we need to get Janemba down to a certain bit of health, and then Vegeta will join us. I figured he was kind of already at that bit of health, and so I used the capsule a little early. But you see, we were just a little bit off. So this time I'll transform. We want to just go as quickly as possible, but getting caught in a Janemba combo is not fun. He's not like the toughest enemy, but with Janemba, I figure it typically goes one of two ways. Like either he's super easy or he's hard. Like if I can get him in a combo first, typically the fight is won. But if he gets me in a combo, it's not that he wins, but it can last a lot longer than I would like. So in a new game run, this is where you would need 15 TP medals by this point. So again, normally I would fight Yamcha as an instructor twice, Raditz as an instructor twice. We got one from the parallel quest that we were required to do at the beginning of the run. And then I would hope for a Yamcha special class where he throws the turtle stone, and I hope that it would be thrown on the island so I can grab it as quickly as possible and give it to him for 10 TP medals for a total of 15. And that would satisfy the requirement. But in New Game Plus, you already have that many on your save file, or at least you should if you prepared correctly. And so you can just move straight on into this Kid Buu fight, and it makes life so much easier. I mean, that alone saves a lot of stress, and definitely a few minutes, but that's one of the nicer things that New Game Plus has over New Game as a category, is just it's more consistent. With New Game, you're constantly worried that Yamcha's either not going to show up for you in the run for his special class, or that he's going to throw the turtle stone in a place that just doesn't work out optimally for you. Basically a place where he just wouldn't give you 10 TP medals, aka not on the Resort District Island. So for this fight, though, against Kid Buu, we want to get his health down to about, I believe, the K in his name, and then Hercule will start fighting. And once Hercule starts fighting, it's just a matter of time. You just have to wait for this dialogue to end. And there's nothing else you can do to speed it up. But there we go. Scene will transition. Goku has his Spirit Bomb. I believe a Super Spirit Bomb at that point. And I mark it on the clear. Next, while we have the option to return to the Time Nest, we just hit next, and this will take us straight into the battle with Bardock. From here, we're going to have a fight with Bardock, and then a fight with Mira, and then a fight with Beerus. Bardock and Mira, you share like your health and your ki. Like the health that you have at the end of the Bardock fight, you carry in with you into the Mira fight, and the same with your ki and your stamina. The Beerus one, after the Mira fight, you're fresh. So you have full health, but you have empty ki, basically. So that's why sometimes at the start of a fight, you'll see me use my power capsule to get 3 bars of ki so that I can jump into purified form. And other times I don't have to, because I was able to keep up enough ki between like the fight transitions in order to just transform right away, because I just already had the ki for it. I found playing as the purified form particularly useful in like this kind of environment, because one of the things that really bothered me before with using normal female Majin and the female Majin infinite combo is it relies pretty heavily on you knowing where like the ground is, because part of the combo again is like you spike them down and then they bounce off the ground, and then you like keep going, like you connect from that bounce. And so it can be difficult in the space ones because it's just like, it's harder to tell where the ground is, and I think the edges are sloped kind of weirdly. But with the purified form, part of the combo is like, you know, doing that spin dash to connect with them in the first place. And so it made it like, it's an inherent part of the combo, and I didn't have to worry about it nearly as much. Another thing that I've noticed about the purified form that I don't think I'm just imagining, I guess I could be, I also healed just to be safe, I could be imagining it. I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure that Purified Form actually regains stamina even as he's fighting. Normally, like as a normal female Majin, I would have to, like, basically anything other than fighting. If I'm just standing still, or if I'm moving around, or if I'm being beaten upon, like I'm regaining stamina. But if I'm fighting, no. But it seems here, even if I'm fighting as Purified Form, I still regain stamina. And that means, in my mind, that I am more free to use Vanish or evasive skills. Not that I would want to use Kid Boo's evasive skill, because it sucks. I don't like Angry Explosion or Angry Shout. I think it's Angry Shout. I think I've been calling it Angry Explosion, and that's not it. Because I think that's more like Super Key Explosion. Either way... Yeah, just one of those things that I found was nice about the Purified Form that I hadn't noticed before. I was trying so hard to just finish Beerus off, because he's really weak. I didn't even notice that he was using an ult until I saw the giant, like, key ball. And I didn't even think that I broke his stamina in time, or that, like, I interrupted the ultimate in time, but I never saw the key ball again, so I guess I did well enough in that regard. But yes, that split's done. And I've only done one timed run of a New Game Plus, of the New Game Plus category before. And so that's why you've been seeing like almost all golds for my splits. In part because I'm doing better. I mean, that's why you're seeing gold. But like the biggest reason that like I'm saving this much time was, I believe, in my first attempt. And if you wanted to watch that, you could find it on, speedrun.com for the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 leaderboards. If you click view, I think it's called view, you should see like an option to show obsolete runs, and then you could find this used to be third place. Or I used to be third place, rather. That video, I guess, technically would still be... Whatever. But the point is, I think I died against the Frieza Cooler fight on the destroyed planet Namek. And just had to redo that entire fight, So that took a few minutes. But anyway, here, I was debating whether or not I wanted to re-equip the Super Soul. I hope you're reborn as someone good this time. And I ultimately decided not to. From my little test run, the untimed one of, Purified Form, I learned that if I connect with a dash in Purified Form and then just get a full combo on them, they'll die. And so I figure, like, I'm not using ultimates in that case, or I wouldn't have to. And it would be nice if I could get double experience from this fight and from, like, the following two Golden Frieza fights, just to aid me in, later battles, like against Whis or, Furry Mira. I might have lost time here, though. Like, it probably would have been faster if I had equipped that Super Soul and I had used just my normal form and Giant Storm, the ultimate attack. Or, maybe Super Key Explosion at times, like here where they're clustered around me. I don't think I did, like, horribly here, but there were definitely some parts where I really struggled to connect with someone. And it just, I was being tossed around, or I was flying aimlessly around trying to hit, but, unsuccessfully so. So right here, we just need 2 more people. Now we just need 1 more person, and he's being a bit of a bully. Gonna try to connect, miss. Try to connect, I hit him. And when you almost finish them off, they keep like just guarding, like perfect guarding at the right time. There we go, he's down. So now we get to fight Frieza on his own. This is actually another scary point in the run, because first you have to fight 15 of his minions, right? It's really dumb. Like, that alone can be really hard, because that's a lot of people. And they're not, like, weak. They're not pushovers, The big thing about them is they don't have a huge health pool. But, like, physically, they're not weak. And they can really gang up on you. And they guard really well and that kind of thing, so it's scary. But then, too, like, your health carries over from that fight to this fight. And if you die here against this Frieza, you have to fight all 15 of his minions again. Like, you're brought back to that point. And so it's super punishing. if you fail at this part. And it's like, it's not necessarily easy. Like, yeah, usually I don't have trouble here, but it's still one of those things where it's like, it could happen, like, things could just go really poorly, and I could technically die, and that would lose a ton of time. So thankfully, you know, of course, that didn't happen here. We were able to move on just fine. And now we're moving on to the Golden Frieza fight. So first it starts off with just Golden Frieza. Once we weaken him a little bit, he'll... No, I mean, he won't reach out, I don't think, but his brother joins, you know, Metal Cooler. So we fight the both of them, and then after we beat both of them, we skip through a bunch of cutscenes, and then we have one more Golden Frieza and Metal Cooler fight. And another nice thing about Purified Form is I feel like I was able to actually, like, land blows on Golden Frieza and Metal Cooler much more easily in this form than usual. And I think a big part of that is just that Vegeta and Goku tend to like knock them away more often. And you know, with Y from a distance being that like spin dash attack, it, you know, it easily and purposely clears the gap. And so that makes it a lot easier to like begin or continue a combo. Like, if a combo got interrupted, I would just, you know, hit my heavy attack button again, launch toward them once more, and then just start off. And if that didn't work, you know, then I would just hit Y again, and da-da-da. So after skipping all those cutscenes, we fight them one more time. It's, yeah, I mean, it's like the same fight. I guess they're stronger. I couldn't tell you. Like, I assume objectively that they are, but I don't really notice a difference. But yeah, you can see, like, it just seems like I connect better. And maybe it's because I was just getting lucky this run. Like, maybe other attempts just wouldn't go this well. And it's not like things went perfectly, obviously, but in general, I felt like I was having an easier time landing hits and continuing combos and stuff like that than in my normal female Majin attempts. I mean, the numbers kind of back that up. Like, the numbers are pretty good by the end of this. And since Frieza was weak enough, I just left him for, I think it was Goku fighting him? Yeah. And moved on to Cooler. He uses an ultimate, we break that, like, we cancel it and break his stamina. And then that makes this easier. That means that we can keep comboing him until his stamina's back because he can't use, like, his evasives or anything. And we finish that off, and we split our time. We got 658. And that felt really good. And next we have Whis Training. And going into Whis Training, I was actually fairly nervous because I feel like one of the things that takes the most time for me with Whis Training and that's most risky is Whis tends to be fairly ultimate happy. And he has an ultimate that like begins fairly quickly and he just moves his finger and it sends out this like swirling, it's like a cyclone of ki energy that just tears you up. And, you know, oftentimes I would use my evasive to get out of it, but Purified Form's evasive doesn't work for that. Like, the angry shout, or whatever it's called, it's just bad. Like, I would still be in that cyclone anyway, so I was worried about that. But anyway, you saw I went into my attributes, I boosted my strike supers all the way up to 100. I meant to put everything else into health. I accidentally put 2 into, like, I think Ki Blast supers, but whatever. I figured it wasn't worth, like, going down, removing the 2 from there, putting them into health. So I just moved on with my life. It is nice, though. So, you know, despite my anxieties of, like, his ultimate, It is nice thinking that I can use vanishes a little more frequently because, you know, again, purified form seems to build up stamina even while fighting, as opposed to like normal Majin form. And just when Whis can be like so far away and I can immediately connect with an attack by, I mean, not immediately, but you know, by hitting Y and just doing the sonic spin dash. It's very nice. But you see here, he does his ultimate, and oh, I didn't even have the stamina actually this time to get out. But I'm going to heal right away, so I just use my energy capsule. I'm at full health again, and we're good. Something to note about items, in case people aren't familiar with how they work in this game. You can own an item, and then you can equip an item. So if you want to actually use an item in a fight, you have to have it equipped as one of your 4 battle items. And even if you... So basically what I've done is I've equipped... Oh, look, he's dead. I looked away for just a moment. If you equip like a stack of 99 energy capsules and a stack of 99 power capsules, like that whole stack will be in that slot, but you can only use one item like per slot per fight. So if I have an item in all 4 of my slots, every fight I can use 4 items. But, you know, once I've used those 4, I can't use any items until the next fight. So even though I do have like 2 stacks of energy capsules of 99 each, like energy capsule Z and energy capsule L, I can still only use 2 healing items per fight, just with how the game works. But we're really getting down to the last parts of the run now. We're on the Bardock and Hero split, so here we need to defeat the Masked Saiyan, or get him down low enough at least. So now the scene transitioned. Now we need to defeat both Masked Saiyan and Mira. You have to actually beat them both. It doesn't matter the order, and so since Masked Saiyan was already weak, and I believe you start auto-targeted, I just finished him off really quickly there, and thankfully he didn't use his evasive or anything that would really cause me pain. I did end up going straight into Mira's ultimate that I didn't realize he was doing, so that was a pain, but it's okay. Now we're just fighting him as quickly as possible. Yay, he's dead. So we get to move on from that fight. And on to the next one of the split. And so this is where Trunks realizes that, oh no, my hero partner, which typically in new game runs, you'll see I just choose the default Earthling, like male Earthling. But because this is on an old save file, I actually had the Majin heroine as my hero. Which is not the most ideal hero that you could have, because I'm pretty sure that Majins are inherently like more defensive, which means obviously, you know, I have to do more damage to get them down the same amount of health. But like, this is the file that I have all of my equipment and skills and everything on, so I just gotta use it. But yes, even though we're fighting both the Majin heroine and Toa, we just ignore Toa. Beating Toa doesn't do anything aside from just get rid of her, which, like, you know, that would be good, but it takes time. As soon as we beat the heroine, we get to move on. So that did a lot of damage to me. I used my energy capsule Z, and then, like, you can see I hit Y to charge, but that was just as she went out of range, so I stopped targeting anyone, and it just had me spin for a bit, which is annoying because it just wastes time, but whatever. But yeah, now that I've used an energy capsule, like, if they were to get me down really low again, I would be able to use one more healing item, the energy capsule L that I also have equipped, but after that, I only have power capsules which replenish my ki. From how I played this run, I really wouldn't need 2 power capsule slots. I believe I only ever used the one, and then that was, like, you know, quite sufficient. But yeah, so the Majin heroine took more time than I would have liked to beat, and so we didn't save as much time on that split compared to the last, especially, as much as I would have liked. But we still are currently saving, 6 minutes and 41 seconds just compared to my previous New Game Plus attempt. And now we get to move on to Toa, which is like technically the penultimate fight. Basically, we have one Toa fight on this Toa split, and then in the final battle split, we have 3 different phases of fighting Mira. The first phase really is just dialogue, and then the second phase typically isn't too bad, and it's the final phase, like the final fight, that you actually have to worry about. But we're not there yet. Let's talk about Toa. So she's not difficult. She's just obnoxious. She has like, I think just one skill, but it'll put you in a bubble, and you just have to wait before you can fight again. Then she has another skill like Whis has, where she just teleports away for like she's just invisible for a moment, and like you automatically stop locking onto her. And then you just have to find her, relock on, and then keep fighting again. Like, it does nothing but waste time. Even her ultimate, it doesn't even do damage, it just heals her. And so, I don't love fighting her. Like, she's easy, but it's just obnoxious. But we beat her, we got a gold split on that, which was nice. We went from minus 641 to minus 649. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, now we're in the final battle split. So again, we have 3 phases here, all of them fighting Mira. And the first one is... it's the easiest one. First, because he's weakest of these 3 fights. This is his weakest fight. But also because you're not so pressured to beat him super quickly, because you have to wait for a ton of dialogue to pass before the scene will, just automatically transition. Like, you have to get him down, I'm pretty sure, to a certain amount of health by the time that dialogue ends, but there's so much dialogue. It's just obnoxious. I was too slow on that, and I got hit by his ultimate. That was bad. But that's why, like, I'm not even transforming into purified form, or at least I didn't use, like, a power capsule to get enough ki to do so right away. And now that he's down to this amount of health, I mean, he could be down to a little more health, and he would be invincible. But likewise, this is the only battle in the entire story mode where when the enemy's invincible, so are you. So just to rub it in, I used Quick Sleep to heal. When he hit me again, like, my health went from silver, which means like you're fully healed, to, I guess, not silver. But you can see him wailing on me, and my health isn't going down any further. And what's nice about that is, like, again, there's so much dialogue, and your health transitions, your health carries over from this fight to the next fight. So if I had, like, the equivalent of 1 HP, when the next fight started, I would still have 1 HP. And that's one of the things that makes these fights scary. Because, you really... If he were to beat on you too badly here before you got him down to the amount of health where he's invincible and therefore you're invincible, the next fight could be a lot harder. But the biggest thing is really just waiting for Toa to finally finish talking so we can move on to the next part. So finally here, with that line being finished, we get to move on. You can see I still have full ki, so I transform immediately. I'm just going to try to fight him. And typically, in this second phase, I'm hoping that he uses an ultimate right at the beginning, so that I can break his stamina and just get in a lot of good combos right away. Because as soon as we, beat him, we get to move on to the final phase of the fight, in the final fight of the game. Of the run, that is. So there he goes, he's down. And now we get to see Furry Mira. There he is. Once again, we have the same amount of health and the same amount of ki and stamina. So if we got beat up in the first 2 phases, like, you could be in trouble here. Because this fight, like this phase can be really hard. Recently, even I've died to him in a run. And so you could just be really unlucky with how much he beats on you, like the previous two fights, and how many ultimates he uses. Like, especially this phase, he has two ultimates where you cannot cancel them. You can't break his stamina. And they just... One of them breaks your stamina. I think deals damage. I assume it deals damage too. I know it breaks your stamina. And the other one is like unavoidable, and it does a lot of damage. It's dumb. Like, I just think those ultimates are dumb. And so you're hoping that he doesn't use any in this phase. You're hoping that he just, you know, takes it. You know, I want to punish him, and I just hope that he's cool with that. Usually he's not, but see, this is the ultimate, like, you can't avoid it unless you're, I mean, I don't think you could guard it individually. And even when I have full stamina, granted, I don't have like a huge stamina bar by this point in the run with how I, you know, distribute my attribute points. But I can guard the entire ultimate, and like he'll still break it by the end. And I don't have like a good evasive in these runs, or like super guard or something like that. But anyway, we just need to get him down, not quite dead, I think, to about the parentheses. And so I'm really close here. We just need like one more hit on him. Of course he ults again, and it's the ult where I can't do anything. I figure I'll try to get him with an ultimate of my own as soon as he finishes, but he just starts another ultimate, breaks my stamina, sends me flying. When your stamina is broken in Purified form, you're actually knocked out of Purified form. But on the final hit, we get a mark time. So there we go, 134.54. So could it have been faster? Absolutely. I know that for a fact just because, you know, again, we missed the Turles skip, and I accidentally went into the Frieza spaceship an extra time. However, this was a good run, in my opinion. I mean, in the final fight too, like, we even got this special cutscene, which I almost never get. I think that means you beat the final fight in under 2 minutes? I'm not entirely sure. But otherwise, Goku would use Dragon Fist to get Toki Toki's egg, and then you deliver like a giant Kamehameha, to like finish Mira off, but instead we get the Dragon Fist. So that means that we did a good job. But yes, that means too that this run is about over. So thank you guys for watching this video. Like, if you watched this far, 1, I'm surprised. 2, thank you. If you're at all interested in running this game for yourself, whether New Game Plus, or again, one of the miscellaneous categories, feel free to check the description. You can find a link to the leaderboards there. If you want to reach out to me on speedrun.com to have, like, if you have any questions about the run, you can ask me there, or just post it in the comments here, of course. I'd be happy to hear and help out how I can. But I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you guys again, and with that, have a good one, everybody.